over the past few months, I have actually lost about 10 pounds. And I did this very intentionally at this time, despite the fact that I knew a child was coming. And the reasons that I wanted to drop some weight are, frankly, I never want to not be feel good about taking my shirt off. And at about 212 pounds is where I was at. I just kind of felt a little fluffy. Nothing wrong with that. I also realized that part of just being confident with taking your shirt off is just taking your freaking shirt off and being confident about it. I think that's totally viable. I just wanted to start to actively work on habits oriented around the fact that I'm a stress eater. When I get stressed out, I go looking in the cupboard. And I really wanted to be mindful of that and change that habit because in the long term, I just don't think it really serves me. I still love food. I haven't restricted anything and I feel really good. So here's the how and the why of me losing some weight over the past few months. I basically dropped about 10 pounds and it's been a relatively slow process. There was honestly a period of time for about 2 months where not a lot really happened for me. And I was trying to basically intuitively manage my weight. I wasn't weighing myself very often. I was tracking to some extent, but not as closely as I have been, which have ultimately helped me make a lot of progress. And I think what gets me is what gets a lot of people. You maybe do well inside of the structure of a few days during the week, and then on the weekends, it just kind of goes to crap. You eat a little bit more, you have more free time, you eat excess calories, you have more snacks. I also just didn't really have objective markers that were helping me take myself in the direction you want to go. The rules of weight loss apply to us all. There's a lot of people who act like, calories don't matter or that there's some unscientific, physiologic way to lose weight. And we are humans inside of the constraints of physics, chemistry, biology, and thinking that there's strategies that like somehow don't like look at those things and take things into consideration is to some extent silly. If you know how much energy you need to like maintain your weight, if you stay at a certain amount of weight for a few weeks and you're eating a certain amount of calories consistently, like that's basically your energy requirement. To lose weight, we have to give ourselves less energy so that we utilize body weight, hopefully more so fat, to provide energy for us to do our activities. That's how weight loss works in a very, very simplistic way. There's also like levels to this. Human metabolism is just like human existence and training is like kind of almost level, and we are matched with like what we need is what we kind of get. Like metabolism is somewhat dynamic, right? If you undereat for a really long time, your body will basically accommodate for that. You're not going to perform very well, and you're going to basically create like a homeostatic state that just doesn't require you to lose weight, right? So like fixing your metabolism is a really tricky concept, and I think you can go down a lot of rabbit holes when it comes to that type of idea, right? What we basically want to figure out is, where can I eat enough calories or a decent amount of calories to like maintain my weight without gaining? And then what is the most amount of calories I can eat and continue to lose weight? Because there is that level. And that's ultimately what we want to try to do on a regular basis, is eat as much as we can in a way that allows us to lose weight. That still means you have to cut calories. You have to create a caloric deficit to lose weight. And that's what I've been focusing on. The how of what I've been doing is, the first piece is I got accountability. I have someone who's helped me with nutrition, and it is not like crazy extensive. It is super valuable though. And it's usually check-ins. What are your habits? What are the things you're being mindful of? We've agreed on multiple things throughout this plan. It ultimately came down to, I need to weigh myself on a regular basis. I weigh myself daily. I'm okay with that. It's been really helpful for me because I ultimately care about the scale going down at this current phase. If the scale is going down, I know that I am losing weight, especially if I'm going down at about the rate of a pound a week. Like that's a really solid rate of weight loss that is sustainable and that also doesn't leave me feeling like crap, right? So actually tracking things and getting the accountability to actually do that has been useful. The same thing with tracking macros. For a good amount of time in the beginning, I was just trying to eat mindfully, and it worked to some extent. I was incorporating more fruits and vegetables, actively trying to eat less. What would happen though is my weekend eating, like I said earlier, I would lose a bit of weight and then it would come back on. And so I've really hunkered down during the week and then been very mindful on the weekends about what I'm consuming and adjusting my nutrition on the weekends to meet those needs. I also have continued to train. I've continued to strength train. I've continued to run. And I'm just making sure that I'm doing those things in ways that are sustainable and that fit my goals. So tracking my weight daily has been really useful. It gives me a lot of feedback on if I'm screwing up or if I'm doing a pretty good job. Tracking my food, I pretty much eat the same thing for breakfast and lunch every day of the week. Weekends might differ a little bit. On the evenings or in the evenings, I typically try to just manage the portion of what we have for dinner. We typically pretty decently oriented around protein, vegetables, and some form of a carb at every dinner. But some things are just more calorically dense, and I've got a lot of experience kind of managing that. But I basically moderate my dinner as best possible, and I also just really try to avoid snacking throughout the day. And if I do snack at night, it's pretty much one protein and one like low level carb. That's maybe some popcorn or a fruit. It's a cup of Greek yogurt or a protein shake. It's 300 calories at most, and that seems to work pretty well for me. I have noticed that I've just developed like more confidence and trust that like I can do this, because there are moments of hunger, but a lot of times I just sit back and pull back and ask myself, is that real hunger or am I just bored? And a lot of times it's because I'm bored. So navigating that has been a huge piece of this. Ultimately, the why is because I just realized that life is going to get stressful as a parent. I'm not trying to like predict gloom and doom here. I just think it's easy to get into patterns that don't serve us when we get more stressed out. When we're tired, our demons come back. One of my demons is that I snack a lot. And this preparatory period, as I've built up to having a kid, has been really useful for me to just step back and like look at the things that I don't necessarily want to pass on to my kid. And some of that is using food as a coping mechanism. Now, don't get me wrong. I love food. I'm going to continue to eat delicious food, and I'm not going to make a weird relationship with food out of this. A big piece of this is actually making a really good relationship with food. I still snack. I still struggle. That's okay. I think that's part of this, adventure as a human. For me, food is kind of a coping mechanism. Other people, alcohol is a coping mechanism. There's all sorts of coping mechanisms. What are we typically trying to do? We're just trying to make ourselves feel something other than the anxiety of our day-to-day life. So there's that aspect of I have a really strong why, and that's really useful, because if you have a strong why, having a kid, wanting to be a good example, that type of stuff can really be meaningful for actually helping you stay with these hard tasks that are behavior and identity oriented change. And then I've also had just some objective goals that I wanted to get to. I'm right around 200 pounds. That was my goal. I wanted to get back to 200 pounds. I haven't been there in a while. I stupidly did a bulk prior to getting married to my wife 6 years ago. Looking back, it was silly. It was a very dirty, quote unquote, bulk. And I regret it, because even though I got some strength gains, I, basically did some things that I don't think were actually advantageous long term. And this has been a really good way for me to just start to get back to feeling at a body weight that I feel really athletic. And I think it'll be a really good starting place for me to potentially slowly build a little bit more muscle mass as I move forward. Long story short, the principles of weight loss have applied for me. I've really had to hunker down, and to be honest, the X's and O's of this stuff have not been that hard. What's been tricky is managing my emotions and just doing the daily activities of tracking, weighing myself, being mindful of what I'm eating and if it's serving my goals. Those have been the hard things. The X's and O's of actually like what it looks like have not been that hard. So I hope you found this useful. That's all I got for today. Appreciate it. Peace.